Face front non-believers, keep your ad blockers turned on. This episode is not sponsored. If you'd like to see the never-before-seen press interview I filmed with Greene, you can skip to this timestamp. It's going to be a little strange without context, but there you go. As you know, Greene recently passed. I've always been a fan of Greene's. In particular, I loved him as Leonard in Northern Exposure, the chill, borderline suburban witch doctor who is cousins with Marilyn, played by Elaine Miles. And yes, I flipped out when they played a couple in The Last of Us, just acting like the chill motherfuckers they always are. I tried to share my joy with my friends in Google Chat who were just like, not a lot of people in our age group got into Northern Exposure. Magical realism in pursuit of existential issues doesn't pique the interest of most 10-year-olds. Anyway, I can't say Greene's been one of my favorite actors because I don't think of him like an actor's actor, the kind of person you hire to bring a character to life. But his on-screen presence has been one of my favorites of all time because he could do what a lot of actors can't. Be honestly present. Like, hey, I'm here, and the words I'm saying happen to be the truth. And he was so naturally gifted at that. And in the world of film, 9 times out of 10, that's all we're asking for. I'll take someone who can be honestly present over a triple threat any day of the week because the rest of the heavy lifting is already being done by the camera, the sound, the editing. But as any producer will tell you, finding that kind of talent is very rare. Hence why Greene pretty much never had a day off his entire acting career. One of those working days, I was lucky enough to meet and film him in 2018. I was shooting the EPK for an indie movie starring Selma Blair that has never been finished or released. True story, I was writing this and figured I should at least look up the names of the movie and director, and it turns out the film was finished and released. It's called A Dark Foe, directed by Maria Gabriela Cardenas, and was released in June 2021. It's a murder mystery that features Greene in an uncharacteristically dark role, and their Facebook page even used about 5 seconds of my footage, which is cool. I'm glad to hear that it got off the ground because no matter how enthusiastic the actors sound when they're hyping up a movie that they're in, you just gotta look over at the marketing people when the director's not around. So after a couple of years, I figured that was that. But no, they pulled through. It's nice when that happens. If you didn't know, pretty much any movie or TV show that gets released is the tip of the unreleased and or unfinished iceberg of content that'll never be seen. Which is true of any creative medium in general. I mean, you only post like 10% of your cat's photos, right? And sometimes it takes a few years to get back to projects you were working on. Maybe their director also got shanghaied in Austin, Texas. Getting to film and meet Greene was a highlight for me. He's the only celebrity that I asked to take a photo with, not just because that's kind of unprofessional, but I've always lived by the Hollywood golden rule that you don't objectify a celebrity or call them out for being famous, especially when they're working. In fact, Greene is one of like 2 or 3 celebrities I've ever unironically asked to get a photo with. I do a series of mistaken identity science-y celebs. If you're a patron or subscriber to my Substack, I just posted the whole collection last Thursday. No paywall, just sign up if you like what I do. I wasn't alone though. Our publicist Melanie had me take one for her. Even Selma Blair was a little starstruck.
I wanted to be a part of it. I'm a fan of Graham, I act like we know each other. Greene.
Just for kicks, I'm including her interview in my Substack and Patreon posts as well. She was also a joy to meet. Okay, so I was not aware that Selma Blair is no longer the perk I assumed she was. I'm still including her interview for you patrons and Substack subscribers. But number one, I triple checked, made sure she didn't say anything Islamophobic or anti-Semitic. And number 2, for you patrons and Substack subscribers, I'm going to give you Bill Bellamy, Julie Gonzalo, and Glenn Morshower's interviews, all color-corrected and audio mixed. And to the best of my knowledge, none of them have ever accused entire races or creeds of people of being terrorists, to the best of my knowledge. Although Glenn Morshower is an actor / motivational speaker, which... But you know what? I'm sure he's one of the good people who takes money to give advice about life and career whilst having no relevant training, skills, or licenses. I mean, there's bound to be a good one, right? Everyone was nice, but that's also a symptom of doing production for marketing. There's like zero stakes. They don't have to perform beyond smiling and telling you about the film they're working on. I wish every shoot could be that easy. Not that it was low effort. I was handling the entire setup myself, which included camera, separate audio, and green screen, which meant I technically had to do 2 lighting setups for every location. Some locations being the size of a small closet. But not only did I manage to get good shots, I was also able to fit my entire kit into 3 cases under 50 pounds, since I had to carry it myself. Nowadays, I'm pretty sure I could get it into 2 cases under 40 pounds. Not that I ever want to shoot green screen again. I light a really nice green screen, but unless I'm doing a literal effects shot, it will never look as good as just shooting wherever the hell you happen to be. Because, paradoxically, if you have enough space and lighting to shoot a green screen correctly, you have enough space and lighting to make the shoot look really good no matter where you are. And I know that's kind of the drill for EPKs, and a lot of producers in general will fight me to do interviews in front of a green screen. Actually, that's a lie. Confession, I used to love shooting with a green screen. Not only had I gotten really good at it, but in my mind, it was an economic way of future-proofing my content. Like, who needs an awesome set when you have green screen? I don't know what I was thinking. Obviously, it works for some of the more outlandish comedic stuff, since, for example, I'll never own or even rent a new set to film a sketch in, but nearly all of the talking head interviews I've done over the years would just look better without it. In fact, for Graham Greene's interview, which you can still skip to if you don't want to hear a try-hard filmmaker rambling about post-production, I literally recreated the wall that was behind the fucking green screen, since it was the same color wall all around us and it just made for easier color correction. I also used a grainy film overlay because keying out green screen will never be perfect. Even if you have Scorsese money, it's always gonna look a little off. So adding some imperfection hides all manner of sin. Obviously, this is above and beyond any effort that studios will put into their press kits. Even big budget films with A-list actors usually just put them in a black void, which again keeps begging the question, why? Cameron Diaz does not look better against a black void than a soundstage or inner trailer. I was happy when we had to shoot Ireland Baldwin's interview in her trailer with just a couple lights. It looked great. And I got to do a couple interviews outdoors on location. That was nice. And the lack of green screen would not prevent any of the film's graphics from being added. Everyone is shot with room to the side, and they're not doing fight choreography, so it's not like you have to rotoscope around Graham Greene's high kicks. Even if they were shot close and centered, you could just move them over for your poster or whatever. It's not gonna look less obtrusive than this. Then again, maybe this is an extremely cold take. It's been several years, and generally speaking, green screen was kind of falling out of fashion, at least for low-budget YouTubers around the time I was leaving LA in 2019. So, maybe it's not as much of a thing anymore. Alright, without further ado, here's the entire Graham Greene interview.
Whoa, go for it.
So, if you can state your name and the character you play.
My name is Graham Greene, and I play the Cradle. Older Cradle.
Tell us a little bit about your character.
Well, the Cradle is a guy who he has a daughter who has a flesh-eating disease, and he blames society on it. And he's looking to get some revenge, some payback. He doesn't think that he's doing anything wrong. He's just protecting his daughter. And in terms of, if they think he's a pervert, he's not a pervert. He's just protecting his family, and he's angry with what happened to the land and what's happening to the water, what's happening to everything around him. But he's fighting back to keep his life.
What drew you to this part that you're playing?
I'm sorry?
What drew you to the part? Was it the script, or we know Amy, the producer?
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit on how you got this part. Tell us how you got this part with Amy or...
Well, I did a film a couple of years back. I don't recall how many years, but with Amy, the producer. And they approached me to see if I wanted to do it or not. And I read the script and went, whoa, this is so weird. I have to do it.
How is it like to work with Maga on her first feature film?
Well, with this, working with the monster, with his ear on and her accent, I can't understand what she's saying. Sometimes it makes it hard. She has to come up and repeat, and I go, oh yes, okay, yeah, I can do that. But it's just makes it difficult to, because I wear hearing aids anyway, and on the first day, this hearing aid blew out, so I couldn't hear anything. So they were writing stuff down and showing me, and I said, I can't see that. I don't have my glasses. I can't wear glasses because of certain situations.
Are you a fan of horror, thriller genres?
Oh, yes, of course. Frankenstein, Wolfman, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, don't forget that. And some of the stuff nowadays is... I'm not a big fan of what's going on with like Freddy Krueger's and all that. That's just too much, okay? The classic horror shows, that's what I watch a lot.
Tell us something that scares you.
Something that scares me? My wife, when I say I lost my wallet, I won't tell her.
What is the most interesting or fun thing you've done for Halloween?
The most interesting and fun thing I've done for Halloween is when we had our big house. It had a little vestibule in the front, and I put really spooky music in there and a smoke machine. And so the kids were frightened, and I'd pop up in the doorway, I'd look up in the door with a flashlight under my face and go, who's there? And they'd all freak out and they'd run, scream and stuff. So they said, your place is really scary, Mr. Greene. And so the next year I didn't do it because I was frightening the kids and they were mad. So I had to do it last year. Oh, it was pretty funny.
Who is your favorite horror or thriller director?
My favorite horror or thriller director would be Hitchcock. He could put you on the edge of your chair really easy.
I know you named some films, some horror films. What are other of your favorite horror or thriller films?
Other favorite horror films, The Brain That Wouldn't Die. Like I said, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Abbott and Costello Meet Wolfman.
What's the film that you introduce people to that say this is what horror should be?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's the film that you will show people if you say this is horror film? What's that iconic film?
Oh, the iconic film that I would introduce people to for horror, it's really hard to say. There's so many good ones. That, all of them, I guess. Grab some popcorn, come on over to the house and sit on the couch for a couple days.
On this, so I just need you to say, my name is Graham Greene. I play the Cradle in The Great Illusion.
Okay.
Straight to the camera.
Yep. Hello, my name is Graham Greene. I play the Cradle in the film The Great Illusion.
Perfect. Graham, do you mind if I get a photo? I am... Can I get a photo?
Yes.
With you? Do you mind?
This is
it?
No, this is really frustrating. I can't hear.
Thank you for watching. As some of you know, I used to work for a living. At one point a few years ago, I was working 50-hour weeks for the Modern Rogue and had to shut down my Patreon and stop producing my own projects. A long story later, and I have some free time to produce a lot of my own videos again, so if you want to see a try-hard filmmaker create accurate tutorials, sketch comedy, and yes, science and skepticism that pushes back on the toxic optimism that has caused the current decline in education and downfall of so many businesses, then you should become a patron. Or if you think reading is still a thing, check out my Substack. Nothing on either platform is behind a paywall except perks and the comments section. But if you think your support is worth more than perks, swing by my eBay store for some strange items and cool gear I've acquired over the years, including some modern Rogue memorabilia.